Okay, so with the quadrilaterals, this is properties of quadrilaterals. Now, obviously, at the top of the sheet, talked about triangles, but we've talked about those several times, so you can just read those. Let's just focus on the quadrilaterals. So a quadrilateral has 4 sides, and we know the angles add up to 360. A trapezium has 1 pair of opposite sides that are parallel. All you can really do for this topic is, this thing is just to go through and make sure that you remember the definitions of each of the shapes. This is where cue cards would come in handy. A parallelogram has 2 pairs or both pairs of opposite sides that are parallel. So these are parallel and these are parallel. Opposite sides are equal, so the sides opposite each other are equal in length. The opposite angles are equal. Okay, and the diagonals bisect each other. As it says here, bisect means divides equally in half. So both diagonals, this one and this one, bisect each other. So this length and this length are equal, as are these. Notice they're not equal to each other. A rhombus. A rhombus is a wonky square. So a rhombus has all sides equal. Both pairs of opposite sides are parallel. And so if we were trying to decide or connect the two, a rhombus does fit into each of the criteria for a parallelogram. Both of its sides, both pairs of opposite sides are parallel, both pairs of opposite sides are equal, the opposite angles are equal, and the angles bisect each other. So the definition of a rhombus, if we look at a rhombus, it does fit the definition of a parallelogram. However, a rhombus, to make it a rhombus, we have extra information. That the diagonals bisect each other at right angles. So that thing is different. Also, all sides are equal. Okay, so there are slightly extra pieces of information that separate them from being one from another. Otherwise, we could say that they were all the same shape. A rectangle. Rectangle has both pairs of opposite sides that are parallel. It has 4 90-degree angles. Equal diagonals bisect each other. So these diagonals are equal to each other, and they bisect each other, which means that all of these measurements are equal to each other, and opposite sides are equal. So again, looking at the rectangle and the definition of a parallelogram, both pairs of opposite sides are parallel, the opposite sides are equal, opposite angles are equals, and the diagonals bisect each other. So this fits into the parallelogram definition. However, it's not a parallelogram because in addition to those, or it's not just a parallelogram, in addition to that, we can say that because the equal diagonals bisect each other and that the angles are all 90 degrees, that this is actually a rectangle. A square. We should know a lot about a square. So all sides are equal, 4 angles are equal. This is what we don't normally start talking about, but both pairs of opposite sides are parallel. The equal diagonals bisect each other at right angles. So not only do they bisect each other, but they bisect each other at a 90-degree angle. And the diagonals bisect the angles at the vertices. So these diagonals cut these angles in half exactly. Okay, the next shape is a kite. It's not a diamond, it is a kite. So they have 2 pairs of adjacent sides that are equal. This side and this side are adjacent. Adjacent means next to. And these sides are adjacent and they are equal. Okay, so they are the ones that are equal to each other. It has 1 pair of opposite angles that are equal, so that's these ones. Note the top and the bottom are not equal to each other. And the diagonals that cross the diagonals cross at right angles. So here's my diagonals, and they cross at 90 degrees. But only one of its diagonals bisects the other. So we can see that this diagonal has been bisected by this one. Okay, because these 2 parts are equal in length. So we have talked about naming angles before. We would name them with the angle in the middle. So if we were trying to represent this, it would be BAC, which is what they've said here. The next sheet on this is just an additional resource. A lot of it is repeated from that other one. It just looks a bit nicer with more colours. So please just write down the definitions of these shapes and learn the properties of them. Okay.